It's time to feel the rage. Join us on Film Rage, where we talk movies, current releases, coming attractions, streaming, and classic films as well. Directors and actors, beware as you cannot hide from the rage. My name is Bryce, and I'm part of the Film Rage crew, which also includes Jim.
Hey, hey.
And Murray.
Yo.
Why is it you always talk all the time? I can't
'Cause I
understand
got
why
this
your
sweet,
voice
sweet
is so...
voice.
This is the Merman, the voice of reason. These two can't agree on anything most of the time. Some movies are Mondo, some are just suck. Every week something is going to make us rage. Join us every Wednesday and
Feel the rage.
The podcast you are about to listen to contains at least one of the following: strong language, disturbing topics, abusive opinions, generally things that aren't appropriate for little kids or overly sensitive people. So, if any of that stuff's going to get your nose out of joint, this is your chance to turn it off. Welcome to I Had to Say It, the podcast where I talk about things that I feel need talking about, and sometimes they're not getting the attention they deserve. And your feelings, they're not under consideration. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of I Had to Say It. This is the episode that will be dropping on the 2nd of March, 2021. We are now into the first throes of the new presidency. We are entering the spring months here in North America. Things are hopefully starting to change for the better. The snow's melting. Texas is no longer an ice bowl, which they were completely unprepared for. And one of the first things I want to address real quickly is I just want to say, if there happens to be anybody that's listening in Texas or that general region, Texas got a lot of the media coverage around here. That's why I keep saying it. But I know it was more than just the state of Texas. It was that whole general area that got hit with this really abnormal weather, and you guys aren't used to dealing with it. And I know a lot of people lost power, and they were dealing with a lot of shit they're not used to dealing with. So thankfully, it's over with for now, and I hope nobody got hit too hard by it. But a couple of little tips from your long-suffering friends up north here. I heard a couple things where people were saying, like, because their power was out, they lost all this food because it was, their refrigerators stopped working and their freezers broke. And here's the thing, and I wish, particularly the individuals I spoke to where we were having a conversation about this, I wish they would have come to me sooner, because I know you guys don't have the mentality because you're not used to dealing with this, but if your power goes out and you got a bunch of food and you're worried about it going bad because your refrigerator's not working because it's 20 degrees outside, put that shit in your backyard somewhere. Put it up off the ground so the animals can't get it. But if it's below freezing outside and your power's out and your food goes bad in your refrigerator, I'm not trying to be a prick about this. It was a horrible situation. So many people lost so much because those homes and those businesses and their power grids and all that, none of it was designed to deal with this shit because nobody thought it would happen. And it caught everybody completely off guard and unprepared. And it's one of those things that gets joked about every year, at least in the northern states. We laugh about how you guys get a quarter inch of snow and everything shuts down because nobody knows how to deal with that shit. But the simple reality of the matter is nobody knows how to deal with that shit. So just a little pointer from me to you for the future. If that happens again, if you lose power because it is friggin' cold out and you don't have the infrastructure to handle it, take your perishables and put them outside. Put them on a window ledge, put them on your porch, put them on your balcony, put them wherever you think you can put them where the animals aren't going to be getting into it because they don't know how to deal with this shit either. And that will keep your food from spoiling. If it's in a deactivated refrigerator inside the house, that is not going to keep. It will get colder than you're used to in your house, but it's not as cold as it is outside. And if it's inside that refrigerator, that's another layer of insulation that as it warms up, it's going to just get worse. So, yeah, just a little something to think about for next time, okay? But yeah, anyway, so just know, you guys are in our thoughts and prayers. We're glad everybody got through it, at least fairly unscathed. I mean, there was some really shitty things going on. A lot of people suffered, and it was things they weren't prepared for. The second thing I want to address real quickly, this is going to be a shorter episode just due to a lot of other extraneous factors, but I didn't want to put nothing out this week, so it's going to be just a quick and painless deal. But the second thing I want to do is just kind of take a minute to address all the people that are actually listening. Apparently, the numbers are still going up. We just passed what is, in a lot of circles, considered a benchmark of 2,000 total downloads, which, from where I'm sitting, it's not, stupid, famous, rich type numbers, but it's fantastic, and it means a lot to me, and it means people are kind of spreading the word, and people are listening on a regular basis. So thank you to everybody for taking the time out of your day to listen to me, to make me part of your routine, to listen to the show, to tell other people about the show. I really appreciate it more than I can accurately put into words at the moment. So thank you very much for giving me part of your day. All right, so with all that stuff being out of the way, we're going to get into the meat and potatoes. The stuff I assume everybody kind of comes here to listen to is the me pissing and moaning about whatever happens to be under my skin at the moment. And if that's not why you're coming here, I'm sorry. Shoot me an email or a text or a whatever, however you want to get a hold of me. I'm on all the social media stuff. Tell me what it actually is here that you're here to listen to. Because realistically, I'm operating blind. I'm just putting down whatever I feel like, and sometimes people listen, sometimes people don't. Sometimes people tell me they liked it, sometimes people tell me I'm an ass. I'm good with all of it. But the thing I want to talk about today is something that I read online a couple days ago, and it's like, you have got to be shitting me. And I was surprised enough where I felt the need to double check it, like make sure it's not just some stupid ass meme that's making the rounds on social media and being one of those like, wouldn't it be funny if this were true kind of scenarios, but it's actually the truth. And the thing that is bothering me and I have an issue with is apparently the snowflakes are now trying to cancel, and everybody knows how I feel about cancel culture. If you think cancel culture is a good thing, well, then you need to reevaluate your life or something, because it sets a dangerous precedent. And as easily as people are willing to cancel things is how easily they can be canceled. You don't have to like other people's shit. You don't have to accept other people's shit as a factor in your life. You only have to accept the fact that other people are going to feel and think differently than you. Beyond that, you're not entitled to tell anyone else how to feel, think, or react any more than they are entitled to tell you. So I take real fucking issue with it when I find out that people are coming after Dr. Seuss. One fish, two fish, red fish, blue fish, and all the other shit that basically taught an entire generation to read. And they're going after him because of certain things that in his past he did anti-Nazi, anti-German, anti-Japanese propaganda and stuff during World War II. Here's the problem I have with this we need to cancel Dr. Seuss shit. The books and the materials that were influential and instrumental in an entire generation's reading and cognitive development, and taught a lot of good principles, like things about writing stories that told people about determination and not giving up, and conservation. One of the earliest forms of we need to save the trees. It's called the Lorax. They made a movie out of it, so it should still be pretty relevant. You can't go around canceling the guy because he lived in two generations plus before the current culture and was symptomatic of his times. Everything he did was for a reason. It was to support a cause. It was, whether you like it or not, whether it was a racist overtone, which it was. I'm not saying it wasn't. I'm saying his portrayal of Asian people and German people was very biased, very racist. But the thing is, it was during a fucking war. These were not people we were concerned about making nice with. These are not people that were trying to make nice with us. They were trying to kill us. We were trying to kill them. In as such, the attitude and the treatment of said people is not going to be something that is necessarily kosher or acceptable later on. You don't throw out all the good things a person did because they have some questionable shit that at the time was not considered questionable. He wasn't living some ridiculously outlandish, just Neanderthal bullshit. It was the common belief and the common practice at the time. And my biggest problem with this is not simply saying, well, this shit is offensive and therefore we have to cancel it. Everybody knows how I feel about cancel culture. It's a dangerous, double-edged thing that every moron is really willing to grab the handle on that because they don't realize it can turn on them. Every single thing people do to make this thing a functional belief structure can be just as easily turned on them when they are no longer the ones holding the handle. And everybody forgets that shit. But the other thing about it is, you can't hold the past to modern standards. Because when you start trying to whitewash and you start trying to erase the past and pretend like this shit didn't happen, or to not acknowledge that there were these issues in the first place, A, you're doing disrespect and disregard to everyone that came before you, and not only are you minimalizing history, you're minimalizing what everybody who had to deal with that shit went through by trying to pretend it's not there and by trying to ignore the past. Not only are you doomed to repeat it, but you don't learn. If our current society has shown us anything, it's that this sanitizing bullshit is counterproductive. It's not a good thing. The impact and the ignorance that this shit breeds needs to be checked. We need to stop the ridiculousness. And the fact that the politicians are jumping on board with this one with both feet should instantly tell you that it's not only a bad idea, but it's probably to distract from some other that bullshit that's going on. We've got people in this country bitching about product labels, bitching about gender equality in toys. And in the meantime, you don't see anything in the news about how the bombings in other countries have resumed that have been stopped for years under a president that very many people were not happy with. I wasn't happy with the fucking guy either. But ultimately, there were some things that the guy did was good. And when you're going through trying to erase the Cheeto and cancel out everything he did, and you're canceling out the good shit as well as the bad because you want to completely erase him having any kind of legacy, and you're supporting it because you didn't like the guy personally. I didn't like the guy personally either. I think he's a terrible human being. I've said that since before he got into politics. When he was on television back in the early 2000s, I was like, this guy's a fucking scumbag. And I'm not sorry for saying it. That's my opinion. I'm entitled to it. I never liked the Donald. I really wanted to see him get his ass kicked in WWE, but, whatever. Point being, you can't necessarily... We're going backwards instead of forwards. We're not making progress. We didn't keep the good and get rid of the bad. They're getting rid of literally fucking everything. And it's going to come back. It's going to bite our country in the ass. It's going to bite our people in the ass because things are being rolled back that shouldn't have been. Are some things that needed to be rolled back being rolled back? Yes. And that's fine. That's all well and good. But you can't just unilaterally start slashing and burning in the name of trying to appease these fucking people. They're canceling Dr. Seuss. They're degendering Mr. Potato Head. He's no longer Mr. Potato Head, just Potato Head. Well, that's fucking great. Except for there was a Mr. Potato Head, there was a Mrs. Potato Head. You know what? The parts were interchangeable. There's really no gender on a fucking potato. It's just whether or not he had the mustache. It is literally the only difference. And realistically, who cares? Buy both. Let the kids play with them. Let them put them together however the hell they want. Who gives a shit? So realistically, why is Coca-Cola putting out memos telling their employees to be less white? And I don't know how true that is. I don't work for Coca-Cola. I haven't seen their internal memos. But it has made enough of the rounds where it got leaked, supposedly, and they're trying to teach their staff to be less white. That's every bit as fucking racist as all the other shit that is being done by white people. A lot of white people make me ashamed to be affiliated with them. Not ashamed to be white, because that's literally something I have no control over. I didn't get to pick. It's not like a character build screen in a video game. I had no say over the matter, so I bear no shame for these things. I take shame or pride in things that I actually have some kind of control over things that I am literally the one who has done, things I'm responsible for. And the shit I had nothing to do with, I don't feel bad about the things I didn't have anything to do with, and I don't take any pride in shit I didn't contribute to. Circumstance of birth is just that. It's a circumstance. Doesn't make me any better or any worse than any fucking buddy else. And I'm really not one of these people that advocates hanging on to the past because of some sort of misplaced sentimentality or anything like that. The simple fact of the matter is you can't erase it. You can't just pretend like the shit didn't happen. And because something upsets you or makes you feel a certain way is not necessarily a reason to erase it. You have to be able to have something there to point at and say, this is shitty and dumb and we shouldn't behave this way. So realistically, if you're going around saying we need to cancel this and we need to cancel that, you're actually, in the long run, causing way more harm than you are good. And because that's the problem. You can't cancel shit. You can't just make things go away and think that the world's going to be a better place. Because if people forget something happened, if people forget these things were an issue at one point or another, then they're going to come up again. It's just kind of the way things work. When you pretend shit didn't happen and you try and just whitewash things out of existence, you're doing this massive disservice. Like I said, you're making it horrible for everyone who already had to deal with this shit. You're basically neutralizing any bullshit they had to deal with on behalf of that, because you can't, the world doesn't work where you can just get rid of the bad shit and keep the good shit. For multiple reasons. The simple fact of the matter is, without the bad shit to compare against, the good shit isn't that good. And people need to really quit being so quick to jump on board the I don't agree with this, so it has to be gotten rid of thing. Because the long-term impacts and repercussions are not something we can know until we have to deal with it. But with any kind of forethought, you can just a logical conclusion. And everybody knows, as much as I get irritated about emotional and visceral reactions, I understand that they're part of human nature. They do happen. We can't all be cold and logical all the time. Even I'm not, and I'm a huge advocate. I'm constantly stumbling for take a deep breath, take a time out, think the shit through before you start doing something. And I'm not perfect. I don't do it all the time either. But the thing is, without a certain degree of level-headedness, without looking back and saying, okay, these parts were bad and we're going to acknowledge that they were bad, it doesn't mean you erase them. That doesn't mean you destroy them. And that doesn't mean you destroy all the good that came with something because of the bad. You just acknowledge the bad and you don't endorse that part of it. It's kind of like situations where there are a lot of things that have come to light about people that have created different art in different formats, whether it's literature and authors who will turn out to be really shitty people, but they wrote some epic works that unified and brought together tons of people. And I think everybody probably can do a little intuitive thinking and figure out who I'm talking about in this circumstance. But say you write a beloved series that is loved the world over and made into some of the most successful movies of all times, and then it turns out some of your personal beliefs don't align with the popular trends and culture. Does that mean you take all that wonderful art that was so significant and so impactful and so many people, and you just throw that shit out because you don't agree with something that the person who wrote that believes? Doesn't change the underlying message or what you took from that art. The way we look at things is a subjective matter. There's not a black and white when it comes to how you feel about something. And I'm willing to acknowledge that. I mean, in terms of right and wrong, yes, I feel there are black and white terms. And the black and white terms are, don't be shitty to other people if you don't want them to be shitty to you. That's it. Everything else, I'm willing to, meet in the gray, but don't be a shithead. It's really not that hard. So if you liked something and it was something that spoke to you on a personal level, you're really going to deprive yourself of some joy and some sort of further involvement in this thing because you don't care for something that the person who created it believes in. Well, if that's really how you're going to go through life, you should probably go through and destroy the majority of everything you take any joy in, because I guarantee everything you love that you did not make yourself, the person who did create it probably holds at least one belief you don't see eye to eye with them on. So you need to realize you can't just set that bar and say, this is the line that makes you unacceptable. You crossed this line, and now everything you've done is tainted and horrible. It's not a realistic way to go through life. The only thing about it is, the people who are calling for this kind of stuff, it only is acceptable to them because it's not impacting something they care about. And it's holding other people to a standard that they don't agree to. If you don't agree to the same standards, there's nothing that says you have to follow them further or support them further. But in particular, if it's somebody that already got your money and got your time and you invested in something and you cared about it deeply and it was a significant portion of your life, saying, well, we're canceling them now is fucking stupid. You're wasting your own resources and your own time and your own involvement because of something they did or said or believe that you don't agree with. And you're depriving yourself, and you're not really costing them a thing. You don't have to support them further. You don't have to buy new works that they put out. You don't have to support new art that they try and create. You can say, look, I found out you're a shithead, and going forward, I'm not supporting you any further. That doesn't mean you have to cancel everything that they already did. And more importantly, that doesn't mean you have to try and stop people who do like them from being able to have access to it. It's selfish, it's juvenile, it's stupid. If you don't like people, if you don't like something they believe, you are not forced to support them. That does not entitle you to remove the rights of other people that may want to. There's shitty people out there. There are always going to be shitty people out there. There are people out there that are not going to agree with you. There are people that probably don't agree with you that you think do because they're not going to be vocal about their beliefs because they're afraid of cancel culture or because they want your money or they want your time or they want your faith or your belief or your investment. A lot of people that are out there and you're thinking they're great and they're the ideal and they're exactly what you want, they have their skeletons. They're just keeping them to themselves because they want your money, they want your time, they want your affection, they want your belief, they want you to follow them. I guarantee there is nobody in this world who believes and feels all the exact same things as you. And if you're expecting the world to be that way, you're going to be disappointed a whole lot. So just keep that in the back of your mind. And thanks for listening. I really hope you come back for the next episode. We've got some really cool stuff on the horizon. We've got some partnering up kind of situations, some collaborations, whatever you want to call them. We're going to have some guests coming on from other podcasts. These are all people I listen to personally. They're like parts of my routine. I'm not just out there pairing up with random strangers yet. I'm not that popular. But we've got some really cool guests coming. I really hope you will stay with us, and I really look forward to bringing some new stuff to the table and some new people and some new opinions and some new perspectives. And so please stick with us, come through, just keep listening, keep following, like us on all the social medias. I've never really done this, but it seems like it may be a good time to put out something that a lot of people put in their little podcast blurbs. But if you go out, if you could leave a review or a rating or whatever on whatever platform you're listening to, or Podchaser or any of those things, it does help get the show found in other search engines and things like that, and yada, yada, yada. And if you like what you're hearing, if you like what I'm doing, and you want to support the show, I said it last episode kind of jokingly, but I am still going to say you can always go to the website, and there's a Buy Me a Coffee link if you want to contribute to the show. There's merchandise, and basically anything that's contributed in any of those respects is going to go back into the show. And so for now, dear listeners, that's what I had to say.
I'm Mo Rocca, and I'm excited to announce Season 4 of my podcast, Mobituaries. I've got a whole new bunch of stories to share with you about the most fascinating people and things who are no longer with us. From famous figures who died on the very same day, to the things I wish would die, like buffets. All that and much more. Listen to Mobituaries with Mo Rocca wherever you get your podcasts.
Thanks for listening to another episode of I Had to Say It. If you liked what you heard, leave a review, give us a follow, give me some feedback. And if you didn't like what you heard, leave a review, give me a follow, give me some feedback. I'll try and fix it. Check us out on all the social media platforms at I Had to Say It Podcast is the trigger for all that stuff, for the search term. And if you want, check out the website, www.ihadtosayitpodcast.com. There's links to people that have been involved with the program, things I've talked about. There are some links available for some merch that we're working on, and there are ways to contact us there as well. And thanks for listening, and I look forward to talking to you again soon.